Call this meeting to order. Can we do a roll call, Lori?
Dick Pufall,
Here.
Mike Berlin, Gary Mertig,
Here.
Bill Metzinger,
Here.
Martin Vitek.
Here.
Next, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
This is Supervisor Murdick. I'll make that motion. Marty Vitek, I'll second it.
Motion by Gary Mertig, seconded by Marty Vitek. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public comment period. No takers. Okay, we'll go to
this
number
is
4, approval of executive meeting minutes. What?
This is Sandy. I don't know if this is a time for me to speak or if you want me to wait till I'm mainly here for number 9 on the agenda, Chairman.
No, now is the time.
Yeah, public comment is
Yeah.
the time.
Okay, thank you. So I know number 9 is you're revisiting the county officials' elected wages. And I just wanted to state that the clerk of court's wages that you were going to put before the full county board was lower than the other 3 that was currently set by the other 3 elected that are in the courthouse. I just want to state that as far as the clerk of court, I supervise 4.7 employees, and the other ladies, and of course they have, one of them supervises 1.3, or 2 of them have 1.3 employees, and 1 supervises 3 other employees. So I just wanted to state that I'm not quite sure why you don't want to make the clerk of court's wages the same as the other 3 elected that are in the courthouse. What's fair is fair, and that's just kind of what I wanted to quick say. Thank you very much for listening.
Anybody else want to comment? Anyone else online? Okay, if not, we'll move on to number 4, approval of the executive meeting minutes of January 21st. Need a motion. Bill,
I'll make that motion.
good, thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Bill Metzinger, seconded by Gary Merdig. All those in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We go to number 5, discussion and action on land conservation boat purchase. Mike,
Yeah, Mike Pirro, I'm representing Ashland County Land and Water Conservation Department. We are looking to purchase a boat, motor and trailer from Hayward Power Sports for $17,655. The purchase is going to be 100% covered by a grant fund, where there'll be no cost from the county involved. This was approved by our LCC committee for the 2022 budget. And we're looking for permission to go ahead and purchase that.
sounds like a no-brainer to me, Mike. Go ahead, Bill.
I'll make a motion that they be allowed to purchase it.
Okay, we have a motion by Bill Metzinger,
I'll second that.
seconded by Gary Merdig to approve the purchase. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See how easy that was, Mike?
Yeah.
Nothing to it. We're easy. Go to number 6, approved carbon credits agreement. I guess that would be you, Dan? I have nothing on it.
Well, let me set the share for what was that for the finance committee? And I believe. Chris, while I get this on the screen, can you please start the conversation?
Sure. This is Chris down in forestry. We've been reviewing and studying the carbon offset projects that a lot of the counties and states are starting to look at. This provides us an opportunity to recoup a little more revenue off of the county forest based on the management that we're doing today. These are all just estimates, obviously. But we've selected the Blue Source company as the carbon credit company we'd like to work with. They've got the longest track record and their modeling fits best with what we're doing on the county forest now. The county would have to sign a 10-year contract with Blue Source. The county would have to make a 40-year commitment to maintain the carbon that we're sequestering and growing now. Both forestry and finance have reviewed this and approved it and moved it forward. So we're looking now for opinions and approval from exec, and I can answer any questions that anybody has.
This is Supervisor Murdick. As I stated at the Finance Committee meeting, I'm in favor of this as a member of the Forestry Committee, but I'm also cautioning the county. If you look at the chart, we need to have the administrator, if we approve this deal, and the Chris work together on this money, because as you look at it, you get a large amount to start and then it starts decreasing. So what I said at finance, I'll say again, we need to make sure that we use this money wisely and don't put long-term cost into something that we're going to get less money later. So you can't spend something big now and think you're going to have it in 10 years because the money starts to decline. I think it's a great avenue of resource for the county, but I think our administrator and Chris need to sit down and talk about, okay, what are we going to do with this money and how do we allocate it? Because as you see, we get 500,000, 600,000, but then it goes down to 153,000. So we don't want to spend it continually. We need to know how to invest it, or however administration and Chris and the county feels is the best way. But thank you.
Dick?
Chris, could you explain briefly why the numbers start out larger and then decrease over time?
Sure.
And secondly, are there any additional costs associated with over that time period that we'll have to?
I'll take the second question first because it's easier. Yeah, there will be some additional workload for the forestry department. We have to maintain a carbon inventory. So that will be a number of plots that we have to maintain in the county forest on an annual basis. There'll be spot checked every 5 years and a full recertification every 10 years. But those plots will just bear out that A, we're growing the timber that we say we're growing, and B, we're harvesting the timber that we say we're harvesting. As to the first part of your question, the reason that the payment schedule is front loaded is when they come and start the project, they're going to do a snapshot of how much timber we have on the county forest and how much carbon we have on the county forest from day one. And then they call it additionality. They'll pay us for that additional carbon that exists on the county forest land base that we may or may not harvest over the course of the contract, the 10-year term of the contract. So their business model is to pay us for all of our carbon to make it as appealing to the county as they can and provide us the best opportunity at revenue. And then as we work through that snapshot volume of carbon that exists on day one, when you get into years 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, now we're basically working on the annual growth that the county forest experiences every year and comparing that to the amount of volume that we take off. We harvest about 30% of our annual growth on an annual basis. So those payments fall to that $150,000 level with these estimate numbers. And then that would be the consistent dollar amount going forward, should we renew the contract with Blue Source or go in a different route. I hope that makes sense. It's a little complicated.
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Hey, Chris, if this is Bill Metzinger, if we didn't sign up for this program, we wouldn't get that money, correct?
That's correct. This is additional revenue above and beyond our normal timber management. I look at it almost as we're getting paid to do what we do. They're recognizing the work that we're doing in marketing that as carbon to the companies that are looking for the offsets.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this and pass it to the county board for approval.
This is Marty Vitek. I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, this is, this is a new computer system for CCS. It's a joint venture with Bayfield County. And they need this, they just really need the system to modernize. So both Ashland County and Bayfield County will be paying for the system. Hopefully there'll be some state reimbursements for this. And it's already up on the Bayfield County website. So I'd suggest that we at least approve going out for bids, and then if the prices come back, then we can decide if we want to move forward, or whether they're too high or too low.
Richard? What is the CCS program? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's the community service program. It's the 514 building where it comes out of, and they do a lot of mental health treatment for adults there. They help people find care, and a lot of times it's limited to Medicaid patients. So so they have to go and find providers who will take it and make sure that people get there, and do a lot of it. It's all mental health work. It's what the county overtook, was it 5 years ago? New Horizons.
Do you have any idea what the cost is going to be?
I'm guessing it's gonna be around 40,000.
How many thousand?
40. But like any technology, it could come in much higher. So this is just approving and going out to bid. The actual bid will come back before purchase.
Motion to go with the recommendation of the administrator to submit bids or request bids.
Request the bids and we'll bring back the actual price for the county, for the community.
So that's RFP then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah, second.
I'll second the motion, but I have one other question. Is this ARPA money that we'd be using for this?
No. No, although we could use our money if you want.
Okay, a motion has been made by Mike Berlin to approve going to bid for new MIS system, and it's seconded by Marty Vitek. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Then we're gonna go to number 8, discussion action item, change term of highway commissioner to 10 years.
All right, this is something that came out of the last highway committee meeting. So I guess I'll turn it over to the highway committee members.
Yeah, we have to, when Emmer was here, we had a longer term and we currently had a really short term. So the highway committee, 2 years. So the highway committee voted to change that highway commissioner term to the 10 years.
And so everybody knows what the state statute says. The state statute says the term of the highway commissioner shall be 2 years unless the county by ordinance changes that term. So we can, the county board can change it to any year, however many years they want. If they take no action, then the default is 2 years.
Well, I missed the last highway committee meeting, or I probably would have raised holy hell about this. I don't know what the problem is with Matt. He has no danger of losing his job. He has no danger of not being reappointed. I don't believe that we can start a career with a no-cut contract. I want to know, and I would like to see this table until we do a little research to see how long Emmer Shields worked here before he was given a lifetime contract. Matt came into this job. Yes, he worked for the highway department. He had no experience in the position he's in. So I don't know, has it been a couple of years now? A couple of years experience, and he's looking for a 10-year deal. And I wish he was here because I'd explain that to him. There's nobody after him. Nobody is after him. He's doing a good job, but you to start out with a 10-year guarantee of your job, sheriff gets 4, clerk gets 4, treasurer gets 4 because they're elected. Dan doesn't get 5 minutes.
4 months.
So, you know, you're kind of, I think it's overkill as far as I'm concerned. I would like to see this table until we actually see what kind of tenure that Emmer Shields had before he was into the position where he had a lifetime job. Gary.
Yeah. Well, as chair of the committee, I kind of disagree. This, you can take somebody out of a position anytime you really want to, except an elected official. This isn't an elected official. It's giving the person in the highway commissioner's job a little bit more of a guarantee that we're not out to hang them. And I think it was unanimous from the committee to push this forward. I think the goal here would be for the executive committee to push it through to the county board. And if the county board feels differently, I have no problem with that. But I think we owe it, from the highway committee, at least from my perspective, to change this and have it go to the full county board. And I'd be willing to make a motion to have this term changed to 10 years and have the full county board take it up.
Bill?
I will second that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to approve. What?
Discussion, please.
Yes.
I'm on the highway committee, and so is Marty, Mike, and Gary. And we talked about it, and we thought that Matt was doing a good job. And anytime he screws up royally, we can get rid of him, you know. But instead of having to come every 2 years, years ago, it was really a political thing. And we saw no need for that. And somebody suggested that we do it permanently. Well, no, we didn't go for that. We thought in 10 years that would, you know, give him enough time. And, you know, so we do think he's doing a good job. And he's been there like about 3 years, I guess, about 3 years. And it came up now because the appointment, the 2-year appointment is expiring in.
He was just appointed
Oh, he was just
back in
appointed.
November or December, to 2
Okay.
years.
Okay, yeah, but we had postponed it. We had in the November meeting or the October meeting, we had postponed it till later on in the, you know, next year.
The county board approved a new 2-year appointment, so he's good until, well, end of 23.
Marty?
The only reason that I can see, the only practical reason I can see for having these terms is because there's a statute that says we have to have it. Otherwise, there's no practical function to it. Like these guys were saying, if things go haywire, I suppose Dan would be his immediate supervisor, and that would be up to him to deal with it.
Well, then I don't know what he's gaining. If he's getting a 10-year term and he can be replaced anytime, what's he
That's-
gaining?
That's what I was saying, yeah, yeah. Even with a 2-year term,
Pardon?
if something went haywire, you gotta do something, you gotta do it, but it just seems kind of redundant, the whole.
Yes, Mike.
The question was raised as to, at some point in time, is there a probability, and this is a question to our executive administrator, that does the statutes state that this individual needs to be an engineer, or can it be anyone?
No, you don't have to be an engineer.
I think I fielded this question with the group, didn't I, with regard to the engineer? Because Matt is not an engineer. And at various points, well, at this point in time, Matt has been able to apply for grants and stuff like that. And what we've done just this year, 2021, going into 2022, we've hired an outside consultant to come in and prep 3 roads. So we've got these projects on a shelf, so that when this money comes available, we have them shovel ready. And that seems to be a term that you hear more often than not now with some of the money that's coming down, shovel ready projects. And I don't know, well, let me just say this. I do know that the Bedford Tribe out there has no shovel ready projects, whether they be roads or social services or anything. However, we over in roads had the foresight of getting, we had some savings on the bid projects last year. And with that savings, we used $65,000 to put these 3 road projects on the shelf so that they are shovel ready. So with the insight of, well, I guess I pretty much was in charge on that too, didn't I? Because we're going to Bureau of Indian Affairs and roads and stuff like that. That was one of the things I had done, inventory, and I worked with the tribes in the 4 states, so I worked with 36 tribes and stuff. And when I was acting agency engineer, and I'm not an engineer, I'll admit that, I did have shovel-ready projects. So that in September, when the tribes went down to Albuquerque and we had our annual meeting, and the tribe that gets us roads money through federal highway, it's a use or lose. And the Southwest tribes like Navajo and Alaska and a few other tribes, they come at the end of the year in September, they got millions of dollars, tens of 20, 30 million dollars sitting on the shelf. That's going back to the treasury. And then when Leroy Gishi comes down from DC, he says, well, here we are again. Who's all got money? Raise your hand. And then he asked the second question, who's got projects on the shelf ready to go? I'm looking around the room like this. The first year he called on me. He said, what do you got, Mike? I had about a little over $2 million, 3 different projects we had sitting on a shelf for various tribes. The second year we went out there, I had five different tribes, 5 different projects. And he just says, okay, Mike, what do you got? He didn't wait. He knew that that's how we ran our, and of course, this is how I presented it to our roads committee here this spring with that savings. So that we're going to watch that come at us. However, back to case in point here, if there's no, what do you call it? Need to have an engineer on staff, more often than not, the county highway commissioners are engineers, like Emma Shields.
In some counties, that's true. They are engineers, but there's no statutory requirement for that.
Thank you.
Well, Dan, what is your opinion on this?
I'm okay with whatever the county board decides.
With what?
I'm okay with whatever the county board decides. That's my opinion.
That was tactful.
Throw your hat in the ring, get involved.
I want to give everybody a chance to talk.
No, I mean, I think both sides have merits to them. You know, I don't think it hurts to table it for another meeting, so Chair Pufall can get the information he wants. We do have until the end of 23 for his current term. So I don't think there's any hurt in that. So I don't know if there's a rush to move forward yet.
Well, before we vote on it, I'm just gonna comment a little further. You guys know I've been here long enough. I'm always employee orientated. So this has got not in any shape, form, whatever, making any kind of attack on Matt. I don't have a problem with Matt. He's doing his job. In order to maintain that job, that's all he's got to do is do a job. I just had a 2-year appointment. This surprises me that this came right on the heels of that. I don't agree with the 10-year extension. As far as I'm concerned, he's still in his probationary period. Only 2 years in that capacity. Probably hasn't encountered everything he's going to encounter in his lifetime in that position. So I think there's something to be said about on-the-job training. As far as his, I don't know, worrying about being reappointed every 2 years, I don't see that ever going away. I don't see a problem with it. So I'm not going to vote for this. You guys want to do it? I guess we can do it and drop the ball to either the finance or the whole county board and see how they feel about it. I can't argue with everybody. I do sometimes, but okay. Anyway, we have a motion to approve. Who made the motion? Gary Murday made the motion to approve. You're pointing fingers now. You own up to it or what?
I didn't mean to say.
I just won my case.
No, I'm getting older, I don't remember. I will keep second.
Could you
Seconded
please
by
use your
Bill
microphones?
Lori, Supervisor Mertig made the motion and Supervisor Metzinger seconded.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor say aye. of
I think we
extending
should do a,
Matt's
I think we should do a
appointment to
roll
10
call vote.
years.
I think we should do a roll call vote.
Okay, Lori, can we do a roll call?
Dick Pufall,
No.
Mike Berlin. I can't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. Gary Mertig,
Yes.
Bill Metzinger,
Yes.
Marty Vitek,
Yes.
4-1 to move it forward to the full board.
Will this be forwarded on to the full county board or to finance?
The motion was to move it to the full board.
The motion was to go to the full board.
Okay. All right, number 9, discussion and action, revisit pay for county officials elected in November 2022.
All right, so there was at the finance committee, when they went over this issue, they asked for it to come back with some recommendations. So I brought it back with recommendations. Basically, I'm proposing an increase in the sheriff's starting salary from 67,000 to 77,000. That puts them comparable to local counties, to the northwestern counties. And then he would get a 2% raise every year, or she, whomever wins. And then I changed the clerk of courts to reflect the fact that the 54,000 in here is less than what the clerk, registered deeds, and treasurer make. So the new wages are 56,827, which is exactly what the clerk, registered deeds, and treasurer makes. The last resolution for those three offices had a $2,000 salary increase each year. So I just carried that forward.
Just a point of order. Administrator used the term he.
He or she.
Thank you.
Yeah, I caught it. Yeah.
Richard?
Do we have a motion to approve? Bill?
I make that motion to approve that the clerk of courts and the sheriff gets paid according to the new schedule, so that the clerk of courts, the register of deeds, the treasurer, and the county clerk get paid the same salary.
You paid what?
The same salary. Because it was at a lower salary, so that the new figures that go to the county board reflect the increase.
What are you talking about?
Marty?
Are you talking about the numbers that are?
Yes.
I'll second it, Marty VTech.
Question?
Yes, Gary.
If Sandy, are you still on?
Yes,
Okay, and you understand that we changed those numbers, and is that in your site? You may have had the old form. We have a new form here with new numbers.
I'm looking at one on the, right now, 56, each one.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
No, as long as it's what the other three elected, I'm totally in agreement. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
So Bill, was your motion to recommend approval of these?
Yes,
Figures?
for the clerk of courts, the sheriff, and the coroner, as presented here.
With this increase?
Correct.
Then you seconded it. Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Bill Metzinger to approve pay increase, seconded by Marty VTech. All those in favor say aye, or do you want to do a roll call with this? Let's do a roll call. Lori?
Dick Pufall,
Yes.
Mike Berlin,
Yes.
Gary Mertig,
Yes,
Bill Metzinger,
Yes.
Marty Vitek,
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go to number 11. Oh, excuse me, number 10. Hiring request for Sheriff's Department.
Sure. Good morning, gentlemen. It's not really a hiring request. It's trying to move a person to another position. Let me explain what we're trying to do here. Deputy Provost, last day of work was yesterday. She's going to vacation out and retire in May of 2022. Dave McGuire went to the recruit class, who is now our 911 communications director, and he is going to replace her come May. He has to go through field training, but we think it'll be an abbreviated field training because he's already very familiar with our process, with our records management system, and with the county and the radio procedures. So what I'm asking to do is move Dave over to field training now. His wage at this point is $22.92 an hour. If we move him over to that patrol, he'll be on the 90% of a patrol officer probationary pay, which would be $5.45, which is an increase of $2.53. Anticipate that his field training will take approximately 6 weeks, which will be 24 shifts or 264 hours, which would be an additional cost to the county of $667.92. That can come out of my patrol part-time budget or out of the 911 communicators budget after he's vacated that position in May. We don't plan on hiring that position right away, so we can have that vacated to help recoup that cost. If we aren't allowed to do this and we have to wait till May when there's a vacancy, then he'll be going through his field training during the time that we have peak vacations from May, usually Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend. The county used to pay a deputy up to 80 hours of unused vacation at the end of the year, but that sunset clause last year, so it's no longer available. So if they don't use their vacation, they lose it. So for me to deny somebody vacation, I'd be taking that money away from them. So I really can't deny them. Usually I would say, no, I don't have enough people to cover the shift, and we would deny it if we didn't have minimum standards. So in order for us to be able to put somebody on the road, it's going to cost $478.50 for one shift of overtime. By having Dave McGuire in the field training position now, ready to go in May, we'll be able to alleviate that issue. He'll be ready to go, and hopefully we'll be able to have all of our ducks in a row. So trying to be proactive on this, trying to have him ready to go before when the vacancies open with a minimal cost to our county. Thank you.
Richard,
Bill.
I'll make a motion that we allow this to happen.
This Supervisor Murdock, I'll second it.
We have a motion by Bill Metzinger on the table to approve the hiring request, and a second by Gary Murdy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
Now I
you.
got the question. Does this go to the county board now, or is this?
Nope, this is it. So he gets to go ahead and do everything right now.
Transition.
Yeah, this committee handles human resources stuff. So
Thank you.
Go to number 11, discussion action. Resolution authorizing county treasurer to access bank account information for any bank account using the county taxpayer ID.
we're doing, because we had found some bank accounts that we didn't know about in the past. We're asking them to pass this to find out if there's any other bank accounts out there. So we can, one, know where they are, two, have them accounted for and budgeted for, have them audited like all of our other money. So this is really just going out and looking for anything that might be out there. And I could, Mike Cassani from one of our financial consultants is on the line too, if you have any questions about that.
Dick,
Right.
I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Okay. Do
I
we have
was
a
rather
second?
surprised that she doesn't have this capacity.
Well, and she does, but we're doing this because you never know what a bank might say. The bank might say, well, you're not a signer on the account, so I can't give you anything. So, this way we're saying that the treasurer, whomever that may be, and the county board chair, whomever that may be, have the opportunity to go to the bank and get any information needed if there's an account out there we don't know about.
So there's not a policy on this?
No, there isn't. So
Does that, well, maybe that's a question for Mike or Steve. Does there need to be a policy on this? Or now that we pass this resolution, if we pass this resolution, this is going to be here on out?
this is going to be here on out because we have titles in the resolution, not people. So that means that, again, if we have a new treasurer down 10 years from now, that new treasurer will be able to use this resolution to go to a bank to find anything. Or 10 years down the road, a new county board chair could do so.
So then we're always going to have to be hung on this resolution. Now, typically, most everything that we do in the county it's covered by some policy.
Right.
Is it not?
But as we found out in finance committee, there are bank accounts that we didn't know about. That the treasurer doesn't have control of. So that was that $100,000 that we transferred out last week. at the
Well, we're
last meeting.
certainly in a transition right now.
Yep.
Especially with our consultants on mine. This is our second year, so we're making some, what do you call, strategic moves.
Right. Yeah, Mike, do you want to go, Phil, talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. The one thing I would just like to say is most county boards and city councils authorize all bank accounts and investment accounts used by the government. And I'm sure this happened, for probably the general account and a lot of the other investment accounts. But the county board should be aware and actually authorize all bank accounts. So this is part of that. And like, I just want to say, it's not unusual to possibly find another bank account that, like, a historical society or some adjunct operation is using. That does happen more in cities, I think, than counties. And everybody knows about it, and it's a few $100s or $1,000 a year ran through it, and everybody's okay with that. But we just like to seek out, and this is a pretty standard thing that many governments have done.
Motion.
I will second Mike's motion.
You made the motion to approve? Okay. Okay, a motion was made by Mike Berlin to approve the authorization to the county treasurer, and seconded by Bill Metzinger. All those in favor, say aye.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Does this have to go to the county board?
Yes. Yes, this will go to tribal.
Okay. Who took care of these accounts before that didn't have anybody, a county treasurer as the authorized agent or the administrator? Who took care of these accounts before?
It was somebody in the individual department. So like, there we go. It was somebody in the department before who handled it. I'll use a good example. In forestry department, they had an account there. They were taking all the stumpage money to. Well, the money was accounted for, and it got transferred to the treasurer. But there was a time period back in last year around this time when there was a cash crunch. That money was sitting, there was $400,000 in that account that if it had been transferred to the general fund directly, the cash crunch would have been a lot less. Now, Chris, when he gave up that account instantly, when he was asked about it, he's like, no, here, close it, transfer it all to the general fund. And now they make payments directly to the general fund account. The part in the sheriffs, there was somebody in the sheriff's department who was running that. I don't know how old those accounts were. They could be decades old, to be honest. And then everybody just followed the same standard practice. And we don't know if there's accounts elsewhere. That's the thing. And so we just want to make sure that we get everything accounted for. There could well be nothing out there, and this is all for nothing. But we're just trying to make sure we find everything.
Nick? Just wanted to say that I support this just because it's good practice to do this. Yeah.
I just want to state, there's been no, this is all just trying to be proactive. That's all.
Vote request, please.
I can't hear anyone. No one's using their microphones.
Can we do a roll call on this?
Sure. Dick Pufall,
Yes.
Mike Berlin,
Yes.
Gary Mertig,
Yes.
Bill Metzinger,
Yes.
Marty Vitak,
Yes.
motion carried 5-0.
Motion carries. Thanks, guys. Next thing on the agenda, administrator updates.
Okay, so last week we kicked off the wage comp study. We had a meeting with our consultants and all the department heads, including from HHS, we had other division heads too, because it's so big, the department, that we want to include other people in it, because one person's just not going to do it all there. So we started that. We had an 1.5 hour long meeting with the consultant. I do have the presentation for anybody who wants to see it. I did send it to one or two supervisors. Anybody else wants it, I can print it out for you or email it to you. Just let me know. He will be coming here next week at the county board meeting to give a briefer presentation to the county board, just so the board knows everything that's going on and how the process is going to work, and the timelines and what's expected of everybody. So that'll be happening next week's county board meeting. After that, if anybody has any questions along the way or wants more of the detailed information as we're doing it, please let me know. We'll give you everything you want. So other than that, I think that's the big thing we got. That's it. Yeah.
Microphone, please.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I turned my microphone on. This is Bill. Someone had asked me if the county's doing a pay study, and they asked me two things. They asked me when this would take effect, as far as what the recommendations were, when they would take effect, which I figured they would take effect for 2023. And also, they said, in the meantime, is it a possibility that the county could restore 2 holidays that they took away a number of years ago, 2-3 years ago, well, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So what they would want to restore is President's Day, which is already passed this year,
Mhm.
and Good Friday, which they called a spring holiday.
Mhm.
So I guess, has there been any talk about restoring those 2 days?
Yeah.
Now, who decides that? The county board, or is it the executive or the finance?
Okay, well, I was actually going to propose doing that very thing. Chair Pufo and I talked about it the other day. So yeah, I was going to bring that forward as a proposal, because the pay study is going to be rough on some people. People are just not going to be happy. I think one of the few things we can do to show the staff that we want them to be here and that we care about them is to restore those 2 holidays. Who would vote on that? That would be the county board, because we'd be changing the handbook to include those 2 days. If this, while it's not really an agenda item, if there's a general consensus in this committee, I'll be happy to put it on the agenda for next week. And that way you could actually get the spring holiday this year. Otherwise, both holidays would not be effective until next year. And as far as the pay study goes, you're correct. Any wage increases would be in the 2023 budget.
Okay, if the committee is in favor of this, restoring the 2 holidays, when would that be decided upon? Because the county board meets like the 23rd or something.
I could put it on the meeting next week.
You can put it on for the county board
Next
next
week.
meeting?
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
And so if there's just a general yes vote consensus here, I'll be happy to do that.
I have a question about this. Are any of the employees who would get an additional holiday mandatory to work, such as law enforcement?
If we do the holidays, then we're talking holidays here, President's Day and spring holiday, whatever you want to call it. Just like President's Day, you could do Dr. King's birthday if you wanted, because they're both at the same time. These would be actual county holidays, and so everything would be closed. And that includes this building. If we don't do it as a holiday, the clerk, the treasurer, the register of deeds, the clerk of courts can't close. And the court system can't close either if it's not a regular holiday. As far as
What I'm asking is not the county courthouse building as such.
well,
But
police
when you
department would
get
still have to
into
work.
this has been an issue for 20 years. I negotiated hundreds of contracts with the state. Every time you put a holiday in, the people who just work in the courthouse, as an example, or social services, they just take the holiday and get paid. No big
Right.
deal.
Highway would
It's-
close
it's-
too.
It's the folks who would have to still work that we would have a liability to pay them overtime or, like most of the time it's a law enforcement
Right.
position, it's a jailer. If any of those people are subject to it, all we would want to do is say, okay, we give an extra holiday, it's going to
Right.
cost us so much. I'm not opposed to this at all.
Right.
But I know that always has been a concern.
Well, the sheriff's department would certainly still have to work.
Correct.
The sheriff's department has to work every day. But I mean, not every person, but somebody has to be on duty all the time, patrolling the roads and manning the jails.
Okay, so how does the county currently handle that? Tomorrow's a holiday.
Right.
Everybody in the courthouse, human services, they're all off.
What I
big
would
deal.
like to do with that is, for that specific situation, I'd say the employee could choose whether or not to get paid overtime or to take comp time and take the vacation another day.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that would have to, in that decision, and I'd also say if we're going to do that, that I would like to, at least for this specific situation, amend the policy saying it has to be done in the same pay period if you take comp time. As that just doesn't work with the sheriff's department.
Could I say something, please? The sheriff's department deputies already get these 2 holidays. It was negotiated. So they actually have 12 paid holidays where non-union have 10.
Good. Well, thank you very much. That
You're
answers-
So that answers your question
Thank
even
you.
better. Thank you, Lori. So yeah, I'd like, if there's a general consensus, I'll put this on the board agenda. And this is not an agenda item, so there's no voting.
I guess I'm in favor of that, and I think we just kind of discuss it amongst ourselves and see if it should go to the county board. I would like the county board to decide that, and I think they should be restored.
It's 2, 3. Okay, so we'll put it on the board agenda for next week. So, yes, that's all I have for today. Next meeting date will be, that's the question, guys. Elections, April 5th. Reorg is the 19th. Do you want to have a meeting prior to reorg? Or do you want to wait till after reorg and find out who's going to be on this committee?
I think this is Bill. I think it's important to wait until after the 19th because we could have 5 different members, and I think unless there's something really pressing that comes up,
Yeah.
I would like to see it wait because we could have 5 new members.
So make it subject to the call of the chair.
Mike Pirro, if I could thank the committee one more time for approving the purchase of the boat. Thank you very much. It's gonna make the work at our department a whole lot easier. We're scrambling right now we borrow my boat one day, we borrow Jimmy's the next, and it conflicts with vacations and stuff. So this way it'll make our program go a lot smoother. So thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to second. I'll second.
I don't know who made the motion.
Mike.
Motion
Berlin.
to adjourn by Mike Berlin, seconded by Gary Murdy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody wants to stay longer, you can. I'm not gonna, but you can. Motion carries.
This would be